that my parents had decided to put me through, which apparently they hated me. So
Okay.
that's what that boiled down to. Is they hated
I
me.
am going to, if you want others to hear the sounds coming from your computer. No, I don't want that. Okay, cool.
So we're recording this. So I'm so glad that you guys are here because apparently we chose 11 o'clock on a Tuesday, which was not good for a lot of people.
Oh, they can watch the recording.
Or you know what we'll do? How about this? And we will do this. Is when they post in the break room or on Facebook that they are having a difficult time managing their clients and stuff, instead of offering
Advice.
support and
We'll just
advice,
put a
we're
link.
just going to put a link. So let's try it.
Okay, guys, ladies, I should say, you can still hear me fine? Everything's good?
Yep.
Cool. Okay, checking your time. Strategies to serve your clients and still stay sane.
I like that you sung that too. That was great.
Thank you. All right, so let's talk about what happens when you don't protect your time. How many of you can relate to this out of the two of you that are here? You're pulled in a million directions. You have trouble saying no to any requests, even when it's above and beyond what you do. You start to feel like a victim of what's happening to you. You get run down, tired, you're really busy, but you're not getting the important stuff done. You spend your time working on what others want and not necessarily what you want, or you haven't even taken the time to define what you want. You're not running your day the way you want to, and you're starting to feel resentful of
There's a good
others for
Save the best
their
for last.
demands. So one of the biggest red flags in my life, all of the above, Jody says, is when somebody tells me they're resentful. Resenting things, let me go back, is usually an indication that you're abandoning yourself somewhere. Big point in psychology, that I don't know if you knew that.
Oh.
When you protect your time, you set, meaning you know what your priorities are, you set and stay engaged with your priorities. You're disciplined in your work. You spend your days the way you want to spend them. And I want to add, the way you want to spend them, it's not necessarily like, I don't want to do the dishes. I don't want to sit through another hour and a half of jujitsu practice, but it's a priority to me. It is how I want to spend my day because they're priorities. They're important to me that we have clean dishes and clean clothes. And, you know, of course, you should be inspired to do lots of things, but you should also be inspired to wash your dishes, right? So I wanted to make that because sometimes people are like, well, if I spend my day the way I want to spend it, I'm in bed watching Netflix all day. And that might be true for a while, but eventually you're going to be like, well, now I want to do something else.
When you hit the end of Netflix.
Right. And there is a bottom.
Yes.
I found it during COVID. I started watching a cooking show with Paris Hilton.
Oh no, you had hit bottom.
I had hit the bottom. You will feel better physically, mentally, emotionally, empowered and in control of your business and life, which helps with that resentment piece. You'll be staying in integrity with yourself by doing what you say you're going to do for yourself. And you'll hold yourself accountable.
Can I tell
to
a
the
story?
priorities you set. Yes.
Because I think it's so impactful what you're saying. I mean, that comment about resentful is so impactful. So I want to tell a story about that. When I was in site sales,
Yeah.
okay, for a home builder, I lived 5 doors down from the model home.
Yeah.
And it was the middle of the bubble.
Right.
And I was selling 4 or 5 homes a day. It was insane.
Wow.
Right? Absolutely insane. And it was crazy. Now our model home didn't open till 10.
Mhm.
And one morning, because I was working literally from 9:30 when I got there until 9:30 at night, the only time I could get stuff done was before work. So I drove to the Home Depot. I left the neighborhood, drove to the local Home Depot to buy some stuff. And on my way back, I saw a line of people outside the model home. Now here's my point to this story. In commission sales, when I'm feeling good and believing in myself and happy and all that stuff, I would get home and be like, I am so excited. There's a line of people out there.
Right.
But when I was driving by, I went, I hate them. I was mad before our office opened, and I went home and ate the slowest. I went down there and ate the slowest bowl of cereal ever. Because I just did not want to go down there.
Yeah.
And that's such a great point.
That is.
I had all of my time had been sapped away from me. All my priorities were flux. I couldn't say no.
Okay.
And I was just an absolute
Resentful
resentful
mess.
person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
I get that completely. Okay, so where do I even begin? Aren't these little characters cute?
Yeah.
So the very first thing I want you to do, you can do this however you want. I don't care. You can vision board it. You can write it in a schedule. You can think about it. You can go for a walk and think about it, whatever. What's your ideal work day even look like? Sometimes we're so busy spinning our wheels about all the things that are negatively affecting what we want to be doing, but we're not entirely clear on how we want to spend our day. So how do we want to spend our day? When do you want, get specific, when do you want to start working? Do you want to take a lunch break?
Do you want to start working at 6:30 in the morning or 9?
9. You get to decide that. Do you want to go to the gym? Do you want to have a break to walk your dogs every day? Don't limit yourself by, yeah, but I don't have time. Because your ideal day isn't going to start tomorrow. So you don't need to worry about what's happening right now. You need to think ideally. What do you want
What's
your
a
day?
perfect day look like?
Perfect day. What do you want? And think big. Don't limit yourself by, well, I won't have time to get from downtown to southern St. Johns County. So my idea about going to that one coffee shop every day isn't going to work for me. Forget it. Write down the one coffee shop you want to go to. Start crafting exactly what you want and get clear on it. That's the first thing. Then you start applying those things. And don't worry, we're going to get to how and all of that soon. You start applying those things to your life by time blocking. You may not be able to apply the coffee shop today, but you may be able to apply starting work at 8 a.m. instead of 6 a.m. Right? Start applying the parts that you can today.
And if in this training, you're already thinking, well, how am I gonna do it? She's gonna talk about it later. So just open your hearts, open your brains to allow this process of this training today.
Try not to resist the
right,
ideas
because
immediately.
people are going to see time block. They're going to think ideal
I
day.
do that already.
Or I can't do that. I've tried it before. Right.
It doesn't work
Just
for me.
relax. It's going to walk all the way through this training.
Yes. So as you start writing out your ideal day and you begin plugging these things into your calendar, what I want you to know is as you apply the things I'm going to talk about next, be prepared to adjust that calendar. So you're going to say, I want to walk my dogs every day at 12. That doesn't mean if you've got a showing and it has to happen at 12, you failed. It means you've got everything in your calendar that you want to do and you can adjust.
Move them. Super easy.
Right. And consider busier times of the year when you might need more flexibility. Wednesdays, a lot of people have early release. During the holidays, sometimes people are just inundated, and sometimes that's a really free time for people. For me, the months of August and September really are probably the 2 hardest months of the entire year. Because it's back to school, it's my son's birthday, it's my birthday, it's our annual Labor Day trip, and it's usually when we have lots of celebrations around our birthdays with lots of different family members. So I know that those 2 months, I can't add anything to my plate, period, no matter how much I want to. You may find that something you thought would work for you isn't turning out to be the best time to do it or the best thing to do. You might make that trek down to that coffee shop and realize it's not actually what I thought it would be. It's not that great. I don't think I'm going to do this anymore. It's okay. Communicate your work hours to your clients on day 1. So now you've got an outline for what you want your day to look like. I want to start at this time, end at this time, right? Tell them that out loud with words on the first day. And if you're already on day 20, you can still tell them. You can say, hey, I'm implementing some work hours so that I can experience work-life balance. And these are what the new work hours are. When you review that buyer engagement agreement, that's when you set time and work expectations. If you start answering phone calls and texts at 8:30 a.m., you tell them that. And don't worry for those of you that are like, but I'll have so many by then. I'm going to get to you. If you turn off your phone at 6 p.m., tell them that. When you're available for emails, when you're available for showings. And yes, there's times you're gonna have to be flexible. It's real estate. But you don't have to be flexible while you're sleeping. And you don't have to be flexible at all times of day, every day.
Every day.
You just don't. Say no to your clients.
Wait, what?
What? We just had a training on this, Aaron. You told us not to say no to our clients. You said never say no to our clients. So which is it? You're going to have to clear it up, Aaron, because you're giving us mixed signals. I get it. When you don't say no to your clients, it's when your client is making a request and maybe you know it's unreasonable, but it's your job to try to deliver, like on their housing choices or their geographical desires or community features or negotiating desires, and they're not based in reality. And you know that there's not a chance they're going to find a 5-bedroom, 4-bath house with a pool for $200,000 in Mandarin.
So, right. So in the training that we talked about, instead of saying no, you might say, okay, let's talk a little bit more about why you need 7 bedrooms.
Yeah. And what the expectation might need to be based on the area you're looking in and where it might be more realistic to find those necessary 7 bedrooms, if that is what's most important to you. You're not saying, no, you're not going to find that.
Nope. That ain't happening.
Good luck.
Yeah.
You're not going to find it. You're saying, okay, let's clarify.
Right. So when somebody says, does that amenity center have a big giant pool? Instead of saying no, you say, well, let's talk about the things that it does have. Okay. It's got a skate park. It's got 4 heated pools, all these tennis courts. So the one thing it doesn't have is the big giant resort pool that you're talking about, but it's got all these other things, and here's the fees. So that's when you don't say no, right? And poke them in the nose over and over and over.
Right.
And over. When do you say no?
You say no when your mental health, personal space and time, or boundaries are being disrespected. When you are being disrespected, abusive language, inappropriate comments, you say no.
And sometimes you're saying no to yourself without saying to them. For example, your phone's on and they text you at 10 o'clock at night. You may not be saying no to them because you're not responding. You're saying no out loud. No.
Not doing it.
And then you're going to text them in the morning.
That's right. One of the things that I think it was Pam, it was on my 40th birthday video, the thing that she said she loved the most about me was that everyone was always very clear about when I was available and when I wasn't available, and that they knew what my boundaries were and they knew what to expect of me. Because it's true. I do sometimes text back. I'm not doing that right now. And I can tell the difference between what is an emergency and what isn't. And I know that I can write back to you and ask, is this an emergency? And that people respect my boundaries enough to know when it is and when it isn't. And there have been times that people have said, you know what, this is kind of an emergency. Can we talk for a minute? Sure, I'll make an exception because this is an emergency. This isn't a rigid.
Well, and it's not rigid for them too. Somebody texts you at 10 o'clock at night, it's possible, look at it. I'm addicted to reading them. I may not respond because I don't want to set a precedent that I'm going to respond, but I may read it and it's very possible I go, oh shit, that's an emergency.
Right, exactly. And except for an emergency.
Oh, look at that, you wrote about it.
Would you expect a response from an attorney or an accountant or a dentist or a doctor about a question or a concern that was sent at 2 a.m.? And most importantly, would they respond? No, they would not. You can be kind and compassionate and still create a boundary and hold a boundary with the word no. And people will learn to work within your boundaries, but only if you hold them. It's like children. Children will learn to stay within the lines, but not if you let them color outside the lines one time. Then they're going to know, oh, there's a little wiggle room here. You might not say it every time. Adults are the same. Human beings are the same. Human behavior is predictably unpredictable. If you teach people how to treat you, and you have to start that from the beginning.
Can I add? Look,
Yes.
guys, this is, and you may have a slide this is you staying strong in your
Yes.
teaching of them. It starts internally,
I agree.
right? You have to stay strong. Jody, I know, mentioned back in the day, she was feeling really frazzled, and she wanted to somehow make the universe stop calling and texting her after 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night, right? And at the end of the day, she can't force the universe to do that, right? But what she can do is say, I'm not responding, so I'm not going to teach them or condition them that this is okay.
That's right.
And that starts internally with strength.
That's right. There's a great book. It's an older book called The 4-Hour Workweek. I think it's by Tim Ferriss.
Okay.
And while I don't subscribe to everything that he has in this book, he has tremendous methods and tactics for creating the boundaries of your workday. Things as simple as, I don't answer emails outside of these hours. And that may not be applicable to you, but I want you to hear the concept. I don't answer emails after these hours. And then when he does answer an email, he answers it in its entirety in a way that the person he's answering also knows the answers to the next questions they're going to ask, right? So is there any new construction in St. Johns County? Yes, there are quite a few builders still building in St. Johns County. Here's a list of the developments. Here's a list of the builders. These are 4 of my favorites. You're teaching people that I'm not going to go back and forth with you 75 times in a row. I'm going to send you one email, and then I might walk away for 3 hours or 4 hours or a day before I respond again. Just because your clients are high energy and panicked does not mean that you have to be.
I love your next part of that.
And frankly, if you remain calm and with firm boundaries, you will often inspire them to calm down.
I have to tell you, that's actually one of my biggest problems. Me personally, one of my biggest problems is I'm so empath.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm such an empath.
Yeah.
That when they call me or text me or email me, and I feel their anxiety, their angst, and their panic,
yes,
that I often jump into justice mode.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm driven to solve this problem, right? And I'm anxious. And sometimes it becomes this thing where later on, I'm actually kind of having to backpedal and unwind it and apologize. Like, oh, you know what? And so if I could learn to kind of be a little bit more temperate, like you just said, that will often help kind of calm the fire.
Yes.
You know?
That's the truth with anyone, really. When you walk into, it's my therapist always used to say to me, just because someone hits the ball to you doesn't mean you have to hit it back.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Don't be afraid of clients who don't like your boundaries walking away. They might. You have a buyer engagement agreement.
Use it.
And if you choose to stop working with them because of their behavior, then you've probably dodged a bullet. Howard likes to tell our agents, in 20 years, you're not going to regret that $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 that you didn't make on that one deal that was taxing your mental health to the point of exhaustion, frustration, depression, hopelessness, anxiety, right? Give those people up, bless and release. And more of the people who respect your boundaries will show up, by the way. That's universal law. Howard said this earlier, say no to yourself. No, I will no longer answer the phone when it rings outside of my set business hours. No, I will not bring my phone to the dinner table. No, I will not answer emails after 6 p.m. Whatever it is for you, Say no to yourself. This all starts with you and you having integrity to yourself and your own boundaries and your own life and your family and your friends.
And I love what you wrote at the bottom here, because at first, because we've conditioned ourselves,
Right.
not checking our email at 8 or 9, I mean, you're just going to be like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Right? The anxiety. But over time, especially if you use like the pause function in Gmail, which I don't know if you're going to talk about, you can pause the email inbox.
Yeah.
It just becomes a lot easier. And I get it. Look, there's certain people out there that are new and they're just on the grind and trying to hustle. And that's okay. Everybody gets to set this for themselves. And it can change, right? If you have 20 buyer broker agreements and everybody is, A+ ready to buy, you may have different setup in that 3-month or 2-month window.
Yes.
That might change when you only have 8 buyer engagement agreements going on.
Right. Exactly. And like Howard said, you're going to get that, like, it's almost like an addict's withdrawal.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I got to check it. I got to clear it. It's got to be 0 before I go to sleep. And I'm the queen of that. I am the queen of it's got to be 0 before I go to sleep. And I can tell you that this year is the first year that I have started the process. I'm practicing it. I haven't perfected it, of putting my phone down and then not picking it back up. And I put it face down so that I don't see anything that pops up on it. And I go to sleep, or I watch Paris Hilton bake, whatever. But my texts and emails will build up if I set my phone down. And then I'll have so many in the morning and I'll be so far behind. First, I want to tell you that if you begin training people that you don't answer texts, emails, and phone calls outside of business hours, the amount of texts, emails, and phone calls you get outside of business hours is naturally going to diminish over time. So there will be a shift in that eventually if you hold that boundary. But of course, I still send emails sometimes outside of business hours when I know I don't want to forget, and that's fine. People can do that. So you got 3 options. You can set a permanent autoresponder or an away message,
which is similar to pausing the inbox.
Just like pausing the inbox for your non-working hours, so that people get a response to their messages and they feel like, okay, I know that she's going to respond to me. Her outgoing message or her non-working hours message, away message, says the same thing that she told me out loud with words in person. There's continuity here. There's integrity here. I can rely on the fact that she's going to do what she said she's going to do. He's going to do what he said he's going to do. You can respond immediately, but you could schedule it to go out the next day. So you may say, I don't take phone calls after 6 o'clock, but you might not stop working until 7 o'clock, right? So between 6 and 7, you might deem it okay for yourself to respond to those and then schedule them. And you can schedule emails within Gmail.
Yep.
And there are apps you can use to schedule your texts. One of them is called Moxie. I checked it out. It's pretty user-friendly, pretty easy, so that it's not on your mind. And this might be, number 2 might actually be like the methadone of releasing the need to
I was going to
respond.
say, it almost placates the selfish part.
It
Meaning,
does. So it's kind of like a
right,
weaning.
Right. I still need to respond. But I do want to coach and train my client that they're not going to get this till the morning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then number 3, you could commit the first hour of your day to responding to those latest texts and emails. And that means structuring your day
Time blocking it
in a way that allows you to do that. And that whether that means getting up an hour earlier or starting work an hour earlier or moving something around, you could do it that way as well. And if none of these work for you, we'll talk about it afterwards and we'll come up with a solution, because there's a solution to every problem. You don't have to keep doing it the way you've been doing it. Well, I can't turn my phone off because I have kids and I have parents, or my neighbors sometimes need me. They're elderly. Y'all, go get another phone. If you can't afford a second iPhone on your account, go get a flip phone or a track phone and use it as an emergency contact for the people that may or may not need you in the middle of the
And you
night.
can prepay for those things for minutes,
Yes,
and it's like $30 for like 60 minutes.
that's right.
And just have that second phone.
And give that to your kids, to your neighbors, to your parents, to your best friend. Don't give it to your clients. Give it to the people who might need you in the middle of the night, not the people you're working with, because you're not working with them. in the middle
Now,
of the
to
night.
be fair, this is for one of those people that simply can't do any of the in-betweens. It has to be all or nothing.
Mhm.
If you're like me, or you're willing to put in the work, perhaps you can keep your phone and just glance and go, nope, not an emergency, saying no to myself. No.
Yeah.
But if you're one of those people who's like, I can't do that, I can't get off of it, I'm addicted,
Mhm.
it happens. This is a great
Yes.
opportunity.
Yes. Turn off. And when I say turn off your phone, I mean turn off your phone. So you can't hear the email ding, the text ding,
Hear the
the
vibration.
phone ringing, hear the vibration. Turn it off. And yes, you're going to go through withdrawals for a week or two or more. You'll get over it. If you're someone who has to finish your to-do list at the end of the day in order to feel accomplished or relaxed, then you need to set reasonable expectations for yourself. So if you find that you're spending a ton of time on one part of your business, like writing contracts or showing homes, then you need to know about yourself, what your expectations are and where your needs are, and then reach out to your brokers or to me or to your fellow agents and get suggestions.
But let me add,
Yes.
this is part of that work. A lot of people have come to us or put stuff in the break room
Yeah.
and gotten advice on how to be more efficient, and then they don't put the work in to learn those things because change is hard.
That's right.
It's easier actually to stay frazzled
Yeah.
and to stay inefficient on the same things that we're doing. That's easier
Yes.
because it's something we know.
Right.
We pay for it later,
Yes.
but putting in that work to learn form simplicity and do it on an iPad in the home
Yes.
that you're showing,
Yes.
so that you don't have to drive back to an office, type up the offer, send it for e-signing, call them. There's easier ways to do this stuff, but you actually have to put the work in. It's the same thing as if you hire someone for help, and then instead of training them, you go, I can just do it faster myself.
That's
And
right.
then the person just sits there and goes, well, I can't help you if you don't teach
Okay.
me.
Yeah.
Right. So it's important for them and all of us to put in the work to getting these things done. I actually want to say that since I've started pushing you guys to recognize your value per hour
Mhm.
and offering to pay for your own time back, meaning Erica did it today. She wants somebody to do an open house. I'm going to sneeze. That's what's going on right now.
There's a tissue behind you.
And
He's got a sneeze in there.
I do. I have a sneeze in
Stuck.
there. And she's offering somebody to go she's paying them for open houses because it's important to her to have that time back.
Yes.
You know, Paula just asked somebody if they could show houses for her.
Mhm.
You know, she's going to offer them whatever. But point being is that's the sort of thing. Offer to pay someone else so you get your time back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
And ask for the help to learn these tools.
Mhm.
Schedule an appointment with Leslie
Leslie.
or Howard or Keith or whoever is the expert on that particular tool. Get to know what it is. You know what it reminds me of, like on a micro level? You open up your inbox and you've got 28 messages, and 20 of them are things that every day you go through and you
Click
delete,
and
delete,
delete.
delete, 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 but you never open it
And
and
unsubscribe.
unsubscribe. And it takes an extra 45 seconds to go through
So
that
right.
process, and then you never get that email again. So instead you spend the rest of your life deleting that same email. That's the same thing. It's the same idea or principle as if you would just learn a tool to make yourself more efficient. You would have some of your time back. Build in buffer time. So this is something I'm naturally really good at. So it took me a while to figure out like why everyone wasn't doing this, because I was living in my own selfish human brain. Overestimate the amount of time it's going to take you to do something. Just overestimate it every day with no guilt. So this morning I estimated that it was going to take until 10:30 to get my oil changed. It was supposed to take until 9:30. It took until 10:30. Guess what? I made it to the training on time because I overestimated. It was close, it was tight, it wasn't ideal, but it was way more ideal than if I'd estimated it would be over at 9:30 and this training was at 10. And then at 10:30, I was rolling in. It gives you breathing space between tasks so that you can finish everything by the end of the day. Part of the problem so much of the time is that you don't actually give yourself enough time to feel accomplished at the end of the day.
So true. You just go from one to the next, one to the next. There's no.
Yeah, there's no, I finished a task. I'm done. I gave myself enough time and I finished it, because I think secretly we're kind of afraid with what we would do if we just had free time. What would we do with it? What would we fill it with? Maybe we would fill it with some deep breaths and time to think about something we'd like to do that isn't related to work. Maybe some yummy food, or a walk, or calling a friend, or writing a letter, whatever. Schedule time for yourself, please. No exceptions, period. This is so important. You decide what it looks like for you. Some people want a little bit each day. Some people want a chunk each week. Some people want a chunk each day.
Wendy does a pajamas day.
She does?
She does. She told me yesterday she does pajamas day. She works, but she stays at home in bed in her pajamas. And it just refreshes her. Yeah.
I love pajamas day.
Me too.
What a great concept.
Yeah.
I want a pajamas day.
Me too.
I could probably do that actually.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I probably have.
Yeah. This doesn't mean running errands. So Wendy is not running errands on her pajamas day. Nope. It means doing something that feels good. Get your favorite smoothie on the beach, take a long shower, read a few pages of a book, take a walk, drive to your favorite cafe, snuggle your pet, walk to the gate and get a tea. Take time for yourself. Schedule time for yourself.
It's got to be scheduled. If they're doing the time blocking on the Google Calendar, which by the way is the easiest time blocking invention ever.
It's so easy.
Right? It's actually made in blocks.
Yes.
Right? The hours are blocks.
Couldn't get any easier.
Block it out. Time block that baby.
And then say no to yourself when someone else says, can you do this at this time on this day? And you go, I'm looking at my Google Calendar and that's me time. So no, self, I cannot do it at that time on that day because it's me time. Mm-hmm. No. Mm-hmm. Do you schedule a little bit of time for yourself now and again?
So I'm a little bit weird. So I do time at the baseball field as time for myself because I thoroughly enjoy it. Weird. And so I do that a lot. I'm at the baseball field a lot, but I love it. Did you hear that? Wait, that's such a great point.
What is? Howard just said, it's a little weird, but I view time at the baseball field with my son as my me time because I really enjoy it. We get me time screwed up. We think it has to be a spa day. We think it has to be like, I'm free from everyone and everything. No, it has to be you time. You time is doing something you enjoy. And if you enjoy organizing a pantry, do it during your you time. But if you don't. You know, like I used to say to people, I just need some me time. And then I would spend time on watching TED Talks and taking notes and doing laundry. I like doing those three things. So that's what I would do. That might not be what your you time looks like. You got to figure that out.
Some people don't even know. After being in real estate for those last 2 years, some people don't even know what they enjoy anymore because they've been going 7 days a week, 14 hours. So you guys got to figure that out again.
Yeah.
Think back to the time where real estate was normal.
Yeah. What did you do?
Having to work 60 hours a week slinging houses.
Yeah.
And now, what did that look like? Oh, you know what? I really enjoyed getting a massage. Okay, go do that again.
I loved going out for pizza with my friend and our kids. I loved baking. Do that
with
again.
Paris Hilton.
With Paris Hilton.
Okay.
All right, my friends. where are you struggling to protect your time? I want to hear from you. Please feel free to, I don't know, how do I? You can
Down here.
you can unmute
Well, I think
yourself.
you can also unmute everyone at once.
You can unmute yourself, or you can drop a comment. Where are you struggling?
Well, I know Jody has been talking about it. Jody?
Yeah, my thing that I am really struggling with is the fact that people have no respect for our time. And I know it's my fault, but for an example, I went on like a 5-day vacation probably 2 months ago.
Mhm.
And I tell clients, I'm going away. I need to unplug for a couple days, and the first morning of my vacation, 4:30 in the morning, the seller is texting me.
Mhm.
11:30 at night, they're texting me. 7:00 in the morning the other day, hey, we got to write an offer. I got to get in to see this house. And all day long when I'm, trying to get stuff accomplished, like these out-of-state buyers, especially, I love them dearly, but all day long, they just spit out addresses and they want a video walkthrough of every home, put in an offer on every home. So I've started getting agents where I'm paying them to do the walkthroughs, but now that's becoming very expensive. So in a case like that, when they want to see every single home, and I'm paying $50 a pop.
So what have you said to that client about this?
Well, I've started saying I can't.
Okay.
When they want to get in and see a home or whatever.
Well, one of the things to remember, and this is really kind of real estate stuff that a lot of us have forgotten because of how frantic the market is oftentimes we have to explain again to clients
I think we're going to say the same
that
thing.
not every home is going to meet what they set out to buy, and their desperation has them trying to find anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to again go back to let's just say, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, that you are feeling the effects of this market, and it has gotten you to a place where you are trying to see everything there is. But what we need to do is go back to what you wanted originally. And so that's going to zero in and kind of cut through all of the static that they want to see everything. That's the first thing you have to do, is get them back to basics.
Right.
Of what they're looking for. Second thing to that is the other thing that you can do, and I've mentioned this to Erica occasionally, is instead of paying upfront for agents to show a property $50 a pop, what you can do is ask the agents if they'll make the bet with you. And so what I mean is it can be a referral fee on closing. You pay more when you're paying someone on the bet than the guaranteed money up front. But you could say, look, if we go to contract on a home that you've shown, I'll give you $500 or whatever. But then they're incented to, the help is incented to make this work too, because they're going to make a lot more money if it works out. And so that can be part of the benefit to, you can either pay less upfront or pay more on the backside if the bet pans out.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing you can do, which I think Steve mentioned,
You're on the third thing.
That's smarter.
is, if someone's, you have to figure out, all of us do, by the way, and easier said than done, and also hard to do in a timely manner, is you have to figure out what is the cost, not financial, but what is the cost to me mentally, time-wise. Like you just talked about these things occurring that are really chapping your hide. What is the cost to those things of trying to hang on to every difficult, high maintenance client? And at a certain point in time, the cost is too high. Okay. And you may refer them to someone else who has more time on their hands, more availability, perhaps newer to the business so that they're willing to commit more to that.
Mhm.
Maybe you want to refer it out and for a negotiated fee and mentor them if you want to stay in touch. But these are all the things you have to do on that side of things. The other thing you have to do on your side is you mentioned to me, and I want to tell you what I heard, just so you know, Judy, because I love you. I want to tell you what I heard. You mentioned to me, I was going on vacation, 4 o'clock in the morning, they text me. 11 o'clock at night, they text me. 9 o'clock at night, they text me. All I'm hearing is Jody receiving all of this stuff, receiving it at 4:30, receiving it at 11, receiving it here. What it should look like is I didn't even know they reached out to me at 4:30 in the morning. I didn't know they reached out to me at 11, and I didn't know they reached out to me at 7 because I didn't see my phone until 9:30. So I didn't even know.
Mhm.
So the problem that we have with the Jody scenario is Jody's trying, and I love it, and we're going to help you get through this, is Jody's trying to implement some of these things, but hasn't been able to change
the-
her brain to
Mhm.
hold the line.
Yeah, hold the boundary.
Right. And so that's really where this rub is. She's wanting to implement
Yep.
these
I think that's a lot of people.
Absolutely. I do it.
Yeah,
Kidding me? There's a desire to implement these correct expectations to protect her sanity.
yeah,
Okay. But on the other side of it, she's not able to bank on herself holding the line
right.
because it happens all the time. When I drove by the model home, I think Jody was on, when I drove by the model home and I saw the people lined up
Right.
outside the model home, I got mad when I went home, right? And
Right.
I absorbed it, I digested it, I was really, really angry. They didn't do anything wrong in their book because all they're doing is standing there, but I received it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So if I would have just driven by there, gone home, ate my breakfast, nothing
they didn't
changed for
chase
them.
him.
Nothing changed for them. They don't know I'm mad. They don't know I'm happy. Nothing changed for them.
That's a great
It
point.
was just me that changed.
Mhm.
Right.
So if Jody is receiving all of the stuff that's changing her, then Jody, you have to change the reception. That's where we're at with
That's what
you.
mine was gonna be, was essentially that when somebody says to
Yeah.
you, I'm going out of town, and then you text them, you don't expect them to respond because they told you, I'm going out of town. You don't even really expect them to read it. And another thing, Jody, is that if they're sending you addresses all day long and that
Mhm.
doesn't work for you, that's not the most efficient way for you to help them, you can
Mhm.
say that. This isn't the most efficient way for me to get all this information from you. Let's find a way.
and here's what I would
Yeah.
do. I would just tell them, hey guys, again, because this is one of the things that I don't really want to say no. Okay, I don't want to say
Yeah,
no to them. So
yeah.
here's what I would say to them. I love that you guys are on the hunt.
Right,
Okay, I want to go back to the box and make sure that we're looking for the things you told me. You want this area of town, this price point, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. This is what we're looking for. So let's stay in the box. You go ahead and text me all the addresses you want during the day, whatever, or email, whatever works best for Jody. And then at 4 o'clock or in the afternoon, I'm going to bundle them all together to schedule our appointments for the following day. So
That worked in another market.
well, but hold on, we can't allow the market to kill us.
right.
Okay. Just because the market's on fire, I want to work backwards. Jody,
Mhm.
if you make $10,000 less in your career from now until the end of your career, whenever that may be, you are not going to know that you made $10,000 less. You just won't know.
Right.
10 grand didn't exist. But you will know how awful you feel on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, all the way to the end of your career when you decide, I don't have to do this full time. You're going to know how terrible you felt all the way because you allowed the market to dictate your mental health. You can't do that, right?
Mhm.
You have to set boundaries. And if the client says to you, if you're working with a client and you tell the client, look, I love it. Send me all these addresses. At the end of the day, I'm going to book us appointments for the next day or whatever. And they go, that doesn't work for us. We need to go see houses within 30 minutes of a hit in the market. You may say, unfortunately, I don't have the availability to do that on a regular basis. So I'm going to
Mhm.
allow my partner Cheryl to help us out and make sure that we can do that. And then you've called Cheryl already. Cheryl said, you know what? I'm just getting my feet wet in this business. I'll go ahead and give it a go. And you refer it to Cheryl, and Cheryl would learn an incredible amount of real estate from you, and you team up on it. And you allow Cheryl to earn some commission on the backside. You earn some commission for the legwork that you did. But more importantly is you stay sane. Because here's the deal. And I talk about this $10,000 at the end of your career. And I say, you're not going to know if you make $10,000 less because this client didn't work for you. But here's what I'll say. You may make $10,000 more by these people not breaking your spirit and making you unhappy for the next month, 2 months, so that you work with people and feel fulfilled and whole and happy. So remember that just because I'm giving up a client that's just sapping all of the gas out of my tank doesn't mean that the gas that's left, you won't be able to be reinvigorated to give to others.
Right.
And then Cheryl works.
So true.
And Cheryl says, you know, these people it's working for me. The way they're doing it, it's working for me. And you're like, great.
And to me, you have to be willing, and this is hard, to disappoint people. That doesn't mean say no. That means what works for me is bundling them all and at 4 o'clock scheduling them all the next day. And if they say, well, that's not what we want. We want a realtor. We're disappointed in you, Jody. We thought you were going to work for us full time. And the response is, I am working for you full time. I can't be in 2 places at once. And so we're going to solve the problem. Here's a solution that I've got for you.
I have a partner named Claudia.
And she's going to help us
She's going to
out.
help us out as well. And it works out great. And because I hear what you're saying, every time she's paying for them to get one home shown, it's $50. Right. Well, that can be very expensive. So to me, I would prefer to team up with partner up with Claudia, partner up with Steve.
Well, that's what I've done lately. I've done that probably the past 6 months to a year.
So you're evolving.
And it's helped.
Yeah, you're evolving. We're all evolving. We're doing the best we can. But the thing that this class is about today, this training, is you guys have to take responsibility and be accountable to yourselves
first
for your mental health. Because again, I go back to Jody, if you have a client base right now that's going to burn you out of the business because the market is demanding such, well, that's not great for your long-term career. You have to gain control of that, and you have to be able to manage expectations and potentially refer out, like Steve said, refer out the people that are just not syncing up with you. You know,
that's right.
Claudia may say, you know what, I'm good. I got this worked out, Jody. I'd love to learn from you. Let's team up on them. We'll work some now. You want to do 40-60, 50-50, 30-70, whatever it may be. I'll make the bet with you that in the end, we're going to get paid. And you just run with it, right? But now it feels better. She's working with a great agent like Claudia, and Claudia's calling her and go, hey, can you teach me about mobile homes and VIN numbers? And Jody's like, okay, first off, run.
Yeah. Well, and some of us have that sort of like I don't want to be too psychological, but some of us have that kind of childhood wound where when someone needs something from us or asks something of us, we're so quick
to realtors
to respond. It's a lot of realtors, but it's a lot of humans in general.
Okay,
We're very quick to go, okay, let me answer this right now. And I was blessed to work with a team about 10 years ago that taught me if I shut my computer at 5, the world continues to spin and everybody's okay. And the people that aren't okay are fucking crazy. And you can release those crazy people and take your time back. And it was a hard lesson for me because I still do it in my personal life. You know, if one of my girlfriends texts me, I want to text her back right away because I want him to know that I read it and that I love him and that I saw it and that it's funny. And then some days there are days that I don't text them back at all. And I have to go back the next day and go, girl, I'm so sorry. I was so busy yesterday. And do you know what has never happened? They have never said, well, our friendship ended yesterday because you didn't answer my texts. I said, oh yeah, I got it, girl, no problem. So if you want to live a reasonable life, you have to set reasonable expectations with reasonable people. And if the people aren't being reasonable, then find another way to deal with them. But don't make it you breaking you for them. Don't
But-
reach their,
Makes
don't
sense.
reach their level of crazy.
But Jody, here's the thing, and this is the crux of all we're talking about today. And I implore you to do this, is you have to try.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's going to happen. We're going to leave this training, and some of us are going to try for an hour. Some are going to try for a day. Maybe some will try for a week. But a month from now, 2 months from now,
Mhm.
I'll be lucky if one person watches this and really tries and becomes accountable to the expectation setting and really does this stuff. But that one person can be like, my life is so much better.
Yeah.
I am not frazzled. I have spent more quality time with my friends and family. Yeah, maybe I'm making 10 grand less across my career. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe you're making 10 grand more.
Yeah.
Who knows? But right now, gaining that station, that solid foundation, and like I said, Google, pause the inbox. You just
Please.
literally pause it.
I don't even have my work email on my phone.
You can pause your inbox. If it's a text, you can look at it and go right to a filter and go, that's not an emergency.
Bye.
Right. And these sort of accountability things. And yeah, you know what? Someday you may have somebody go, I'm using a different realtor. You didn't answer my call at 11 o'clock at night. You'd be like, you know what?
Okay.
Good luck.
I mean, can you imagine calling your attorney
Yeah.
and being like, I needed you last night at 11:30? Your attorney would be like, okay, well, I don't do that.
And I'm just going to touch that. A lot of this can be resolved up front
Yeah.
through that buyer
Setting that
consult and
expectation, yeah.
buyer engagement agreement.
I
If I'm
agree.
sitting with a buyer and they're like, I'm not signing a buyer engagement agreement because I've worked with many buyer's agents. None of them have made me sign that. I might be like, I get it. I work like this so that I can make sure that the client pool that I work with
Mhm.
is committed to me as I'm committed to them.
That's right.
And
And if they don't want to sign it,
you know,
okay.
just like you work, and I've said to people before, just like an attorney signs a retainer, we have a retainer as well, just the cost is zero.
Mhm.
Doesn't cost you anything to sign this retainer today,
Yeah.
but it commits that I'm going to work for you full time,
Yeah.
which I do, and that you're going to commit that you're with me
Yeah.
full time. And if that doesn't work for you, there's lots of realtors out there. I only work for 15 at a time total. That's it. Max
That's
out.
right. Right. Amen. And what you're saying about money too, and I'm going to say this in front of my boss, so I'm walking on eggshells a little bit, but what I want to say is that I could go get a job making more money than I make here
What?
tomorrow.
What?
I could go, and I have offers
What?
to go make more money
What?
than I make
Alright.
here.
Well, we got to fix that.
And the bottom line is that I value my mental health and my joy and my peace more than I value money right now in my life at this point. That's what I value more. I value time with my son. I value sleep. I value nutrition. I value exercise, and I value joy. That's what I value.
You thumbed me for
I thumbed you
joy?
for joy.
Oh.
That's what I value. So that's where my focus is. It's tight. My life is a little tight right now. The budget's a little tight,
Weird things.
but I would rather the budget be a little tight than my mind suffer. And I'm not saying that you should give up on the money, because I think both are possible. I'm just saying that we all make choices in every career, in every job that we have. What's most important to you?
What brokerage? I'm just thinking, what brokerage, Jody, have you ever worked at where the brokerage and the brokers and the trainers have been like, shut it down, work less, make less money potentially, or make more, whatever. We're literally telling you guys, we love you guys and we want you to love you so that you focus on this, because I want you to be in this business with me, ride or die
Forever.
forever.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh, you're stuck with me for a while, but I appreciate this training because I got a lot from it that I needed.
good. I'm so glad. Does anybody else want to share a struggle they're having, have a question, want to comment?
Can I praise somebody for a second?
Wait, let's see if anybody wants to say
Well, it's
anything, and
in
then you
line,
can praise.
but it might prompt them.
Okay.
I want to praise Claudia Perry,
Okay.
because she and one of her best friends are accountability partners outside of real estate.
Oh,
And I think that's just really monumental, and people ought to do that as well.
I love that.
That, that it's not somebody in the business, like it's focused on real estate.
Right.
It's beyond that. It's mental health. It's touching base. It's making sure that you're present and all those things. It's
Yeah.
really wonderful. And
Yeah.
so I want to praise her for taking that step along these same lines
Yeah.
of protecting the cranium.
I said something to Sarah, my best friend Sarah, over the weekend. She was over at my house on Saturday. We were eating dinner, and she said, Erin, you create the life that you want. And I had this like light bulb moment of like, I've been wanting to bake with Sarah because Sarah bakes. She's really good at baking. And I've been saying I want to bake with her. And I've been saying to her, I want to bake with her. And every time I've said it, she's been like, I want to bake with you. But I've never created it. And so I said to her on Saturday, Tuesday night, I want to come over and bake. She was like, great. And now we're going to bake. And it's those simple little things where it's like, I want to have time with my friends. Then create it. You can create
and this is that effort we're talking about.
Right. You have to do it.
Yeah.
You create it and then it happens.
Georgina, anything? Steve?
Can I say something?
Hey!
Hi.
Hi.
So funny story. My friend who was supposed to be my accountability partner,
Oh boy.
I believe we went about 5 days before she quit. So the good news is we still have that page on Workplace because I'm trying to take a break from social media, which was really hard because a lot of people were like, well, how are you going to maintain your business? How are you going to, advertise yourself? And I'm like, that can wait for another 3 months. Like I will survive. So, but then the thing with my friend, like I said, we started, well, for people who don't know, her and I started a group on Workplace, which is basically just a separate app. It's similar to Facebook, but I didn't want to get on Facebook because I'm trying to stay off. So we downloaded that. We made a page for ourselves, and basically every day we told each other that we would post our update for the day. Did we reach our goals? Did we do what we said we were going to do for the day? We post our schedule for the next day because we're supposed to write it out the night before. Just everything we could kind of go over, and we post pictures, like, hey, I put the laundry away. Like, that's not really a huge deal, but it is for me because I fucking hate laundry. So, just things like that. Now, like I said, she kind of fell off of that probably around like the fourth or fifth day, and that's fine.
Maybe she wants to hop back on. We all fail.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I still post in there, and she's not looking at it, but I don't care. I see my updates daily, so.
And talk about self-affirmation, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's wonderful.
And
Yeah.
maybe Claudia, see if you've got another friend, a family member, or I wouldn't mind. I don't know about you. If you asked in the break room, does anybody want to be an accountability partner? And maybe give it a timeline. Like, do you want to be my accountability partner for a month? And just see if you click and connect, because you don't want to, commit to somebody that you're like, I don't want to keep doing this.
Yeah.
Demotivate you. But maybe you can find another one. But I think the fact that you're continuing to show up for yourself, hot tamale.
I love the fact that she continued to post.
Yeah.
And post stuff, updating. If you think about it, a lot of times I post stuff on my Facebook, which is basically my photo album.
Nobody reads
it, but I can look back on it and see stuff. So yeah. I just think that's glorious. Great job, Claudia.
Good job.
Well, I was gonna say one more thing too. This sounds kind of crazy. So like, even still posting after she's no longer on there, I'm basically talking to myself, but it's fine. It's almost ingrained, and it's only been a week and a half now. And I'm doing this for 90 days. But it's already ingrained in my mind that at the end of the day, I have to post in there because I've done it consistently for a week. So I don't care how tired I am, how hard I worked, if I was, went out for dinner or whatever and came home too late or whatever. I still get home and I still do that real quick because it only takes probably 15 minutes to write out my schedule and then for the next day and to post my update for the day.
It's an
So
accomplishment, right? Every single
Yeah.
day it's an accomplishment. I think it's wonderful. Good, great job.
I
Yeah.
do too. And I'm gonna leave you all with this, unless Georgina or Steve, you want to say anything? Okay. I'm hard of hearing. I want to leave you all with this, that as you try and you implement these things, you are going to fail.
Always.
You're going to fail. You're going to have a day where it didn't work, where you messed it up, where you forgot, where you got off track. And then you get up the next morning and you go again and you try again, but you are going to fail. And one of my favorite quotes that I've ever heard in my whole life about that is when I was in a meditation class.
Okay.
And we were talking about you have to meditate 30 minutes every day. And somebody says, well, what happens if I get to the end of the day and I realize that I didn't meditate and I'm too tired to meditate? And the meditation teacher said, you say to yourself, oops, I didn't meditate today. And then you go to sleep and you get up the next morning and you meditate. So you're gonna fail, keep going. Like Claudia, she had this great thing going, keep going, because the right people and the right things will show up. I love all of you so much. Thank you for coming. I'm gonna post this to the break room.
And you know what? Tell people this was a great training.
Please tell people
them
to watch this.
Watch this video.
Go in the break room right now and tell people to watch it. Love you, bye.